I'm Amy Goodman. We're on the road in Chicago as part of a 100-city Election 2012 tour. Chicago public school students are returning to classes after the governing body of the Chicago Teachers Union voted to suspend its 9-day strike, the first teacher strike in Chicago since 1987. The decision came after hours of closed-door talks among union members who'd asked for time to review details of their proposed new contract. Union President Karen Lewis spoke to reporters shortly after the vote.
We are trying to have people understand that when people come together to deal with problems of education, the people that are actually working in the schools need to be heard. And I think that this has been an opportunity for people across the nation to have their voices heard. And I think we're moving in the right direction.
Chicago Mayor Emanuel framed the end of the strike as a victory for the city's children. This came after he sought a court injunction to force an end to the walkout. Following Tuesday's vote, Mayor Emanuel said the new contract could bring welcome changes to the city's public schools.
This settlement is an honest compromise. It means returning our schools to their primary purpose, the education of our children. It means a new day and a new direction for the Chicago Public Schools. In this contract, we gave our children a seat at the table. In past negotiations, taxpayers paid more, but our kids got less. This time, our taxpayers are paying less, and our kids are getting more. Because of the past contracts, teachers and principals had to make false choices about where they spent their time because there was so little of it. This contract is a break with past practices and brings a fundamental change that benefits our children. We have been discussing the need for more school time as a city for over a decade, but lack the ability to achieve our primary educational goal. We have been discussing the need for more reading and more recess, for more science and sports, for more math and music, geometry and gym. For as long as I can remember, we've been discussing that. Each time it was postponed or rejected because the changes were considered too difficult. Today, that era and those false choices come to an end.
Since the 800 delegates of the Chicago Teachers Unions voted overwhelmingly to suspend the strike, the agreement will now go before the entire membership. The deal calls for a double-digit salary increase over the next 3 years, including raises for cost of living, while maintaining other increases for experience and advanced education. This is teacher and union delegate Adam Heenan, who voted to end the walkout.
I feel like we got something that we can go back to the classroom with dignity with. We didn't win as much on fair compensation, but we have positions that are going back, arts positions, PE positions. We have a promise to hire 100 more support staff and social workers, psychologists. We have an anti-bullying clause. Anti-workplace bullying is something that, even our mayor is joining in on. And I think that we're going to go back being able to be advocates for better classroom conditions. We have a parent member on each class size panel, even though, we fought on class sizes that was some of the non-permissible material. We fought off merit pay. There's no merit pay in our system. We were able to fight back on the Performance Evaluation Reform Act that was designed to get rid of 6,000 union members in 2 years, and kind of reinventing seniority. I feel really good right now.
We're joined here in Chicago by the woman who led the city's first teacher strike in quarter of a century. Karen Lewis is president of the Chicago Teachers Union. She's also part of the union's caucus of rank-and-file educators known as CORE. She used to teach chemistry at Martin Luther King High School on the south side of Chicago. Karen Lewis, welcome back to Democracy Now!
Thank you for having me.
And this is a momentous week right now in Chicago. This is the first morning after the decision the teachers have made to go back. Do you feel you have won this strike?
Oh, absolutely. I think that teachers across the country realize how important it is to stand up as a union together and fight back against things that are actually bad for children. And I want to tell you that as we went through the contract, basically article by article, one of the things that got the absolute most applause of the night was lesson plans, that teachers could do their own lesson plans. And I mean, it's like things like this that are making our lives absolutely insane, that we've been micromanaged into doing things that we know are harmful for children. So to finally stand up and say, you know, this is not a good way of doing school, because somebody in an air-conditioned building with a spreadsheet thinks that's a good way of doing it, this has been a real victory.
Well, let's talk about what you believe you have achieved. And the strike end of things, that had to do with salary and other issues like that.
Sure, it did, because we are prohibited from striking for just about everything else that other districts in this state can strike for. So it's about compensation and benefits and procedures. So we were able to strike over the salary piece. We were able to strike over the procedure of evaluations. And we were also looking to do some other things that, even though they're not permissible and not strikeable, that we couldn't settle the contract without. So that included what the content of the evaluation piece looked like.
Well, I want to talk about the evaluation piece, but in terms of salary, what did you achieve?
Well, we fought off merit pay, which was something that they were absolutely adamant about. They wanted to take away our lanes, which are for achievement of advanced degrees. They wanted to take away our steps, which are for experience. And it's the way we've been doing things traditionally for some time. They wanted to replace that with some sort of merit pay piece. Or as they call it, differentiated compensation, that were tied to evaluations. And we were adamantly against that, and for a variety of reasons. And that took an awful lot of wrangling. So in terms of that, you know, I mean, austerity contract compared to what we had before, but at least we were able to maintain this. And when we argued about it, they said, well, we're giving you your lanes and steps. And I said, but you need to understand, we had never lost them. So that was something in your mind that you are giving. And I think that's problematic. We also got a right to recall in schools that where enrollment drops. If that enrollment comes back up, if they projected incorrectly, then we got the right to recall, which we've never had, by the way. So in many districts, when things like this happen, the right to recall is no big deal. But now we actually have it. So there are small things. We got an anti-bullying measurement, an article. And one of the issues about that is that our members have been so miserable in schools. We've had a lot of problems with principals changing people's programs in order to set them up for failure. Just like I know of a nationally board certified teacher in science who taught 7th and 8th grade science, and she was given a kindergarten class. I mean, this is like an inappropriate, you know, there's no pedagogical reason for this. So these are the kinds of things that were going on in Chicago that were really driving people to easily decide to make a decision to strike. So
I wanted to play for you comments by 2 Chicago teachers who participated in the strike. James Cavallero is a special education teacher in Chicago.
We'd like to see our class sizes be smaller. We'd like to see more wraparound services, so more social workers, more nurses, other services that our kids can get. In special ed, we'd like to see more special ed teachers hired so that we can really benefit those kids that really need as much one-on-one attention and even in just smaller group attention.
And this is Garth Liebhaber, a 5th grade teacher in Chicago, speaking about the impact of the strike.
We've gained dignity, we've gained respect for our profession and for our school communities. We have regained unionism and what it means for working people. Today, our struggle has not just been about simply a contract, because a contract is worthless unless there are people to enforce it. This has been about returning power to where it belongs, amongst the working people and the communities they serve.
Two teachers talking about the strike. We're joined by Karen Lewis. She is the president of the Chicago Teachers Union, just came out of the negotiations. Their responses, what they have said, what this meant for the teachers as well as parents and students. What's been fascinating watching this from afar and then coming into Chicago is the level of support you had, even though kids were out and teachers were scrambling, overall from the community.
Yeah, well, we've been working on that for quite some time. I mean, before we ever gained office of the union, we worked very hard against the school closings that have been going on, and we have reached out into the community, worked with parents, worked with students, and when you build relationships like that, it just grows. So to us, the whole idea of a union movement in school means you have to have all the stakeholders there. And that's something that's been missing, I think, from people in general across the country. The unionism has been sort of like the school system. It's been very top-down. And the two gentlemen that you actually spoke to are on our big bargaining team. So we had members from all over the city in different areas, high school, grammar school, our paraprofessionals, our clinicians, all on our big bargaining team, so that they could actually see the process of negotiations, that it wasn't like a little room with just 2 or 3 people in it just haggling out, you know. So that made a difference too, because people felt involved. And it was also the reason why we were not able to come to an agreement on Sunday night, because people had not seen the language. And because of the lack of trust between the staff and management, they really wanted some time to look at that agreement, as opposed to just looking at a framework. So it took them a couple of days, and it happened.
We're going to come back to this discussion. Our guest is Karen Lewis. She's president of the Chicago Teachers Union. Back to school, that's the word today all over Chicago. And we're going to talk about what this means for the country. Chicago is an incubator for what is called school reform around the country. What does this strike mean? Stay with us.